thank you everybody for being here. We're going to start right now. Here we are honored to have Sonja Heinen, the Managing Director of the European Film Promotion, and she will let us know everything about this organization and the programs they are dealing with, which are a lot. And I'll give the floor to Tamara, who will be conducting this conversation.
Thank you very much, Alexia, and a big welcome, of course, to Sonja. Also to all the returning and the new faces. We're really happy. We've been just chatting about that this talk took like a regular shape, and people are coming to learn, to share, to pose questions openly in some kind of a cozy and safe environment. So welcome back. And as some of you know, but probably not everyone, we've been just off of a newly set up partnership with European Film Promotion, which was linked to one of the programs that this association does, called Europe Voices of Women in Film. And it's rooted with the Sydney Film Festival and has on board other partners and showcases the best of female directors and the films, let's say, in Sydney to their audiences. And this year, for the first time, EWA Network became the partner of the EFP, and we have contributed with 2 panels where we presented the network and the opportunities of collaboration, but also really freely and openly discussed the issue of the equality agenda, gender equality, but not only. And then we had another panel focusing on gender stereotyping and storytelling, where we had an interactive conversation with the selected directors, but we had Jona Mitewska, one of our very active and dedicated members, telling her story in conversation with me. And we thought this week cannot finish without having Sonja joining the EWA Talks Change, because that's more than logical. It's really blends well. And she, in my view, is a woman that very often could be prototyped as someone who's been achieving a lot of changes in her career. She certainly is not the one who complains. She's much more of an enabler, and she likes to make things happen. And I'm very happy that today we have you, Sonja, in your position as a managing director of European Film Promotion. But also my idea would be that within this hour that we have, we go a little bit along your career path as well, and we look at you and the things you've done and the initiatives that you've headed from the perspective of a question that part of this gender equality agenda is that there are few women in management positions. And this stream is also discussed, and there are actions and recommendations in pipeline and in making. So it's not about discussing that topic, but it's interesting to look at you from that perspective, someone who's been always in charge, so to say, and responsible for action. So welcome again. I would maybe let you first introduce European Film Promotion, and I tell you why. Here on screen, you have a lot of different profession representatives, directors, writers, actors. This is a really grassroots association.
Casting director as well.
Yeah, I don't see anyone now because I have a Zoom on Sonja's face. But the idea is that potentially these are people who could be part of your actions in different programs, but not everyone might be as informed what really is the meaning of your beautiful slogan, Film Talent Spirit. So let us know about it, and then we go a little bit backwards in your previous roles.
Yes, thank you, Tamara. Thank you very much for the opportunity. It's great for me to be able also to tell you about EFP a little. Who of you knows EFP already? Can you maybe raise your hand? Okay, who knows Producers on the Move, the program? And who knows Shooting Stars? Okay, so that because these are the basically the most prominent programs EFP is doing, but I wanted to tell you about what EFP is. It's a network organization. It's a network of all the national film promotion institutes in Europe. Meaning we have German films in Germany, Unifrance in France, Screen Ireland in Ireland, CNL in the Netherlands. So all the institutions which are responsible to promote their national films outside of their home territory. And they, many years ago, EFP is 23 years old already. And many years ago, the first 10 came together and they said, okay, but when we all here from Europe want to go outside of Europe, it doesn't make sense. We cannot go to Sundance or to Toronto as I'm coming from Finland or I'm coming from Germany or so. It's much better when we go as the Europeans. And that was basically the idea of EFP. Which my predecessor, Renate Rose, she founded EFP. And over the 20 years, many more countries joined. And now, at this moment, we have 37 member countries. So basically, all European countries in the wider sense of the media program are part of European film promotion. And we will also be trying to make sure that UK stays in EFP because we still feel UK is European. But that's another topic. But let's say in order to reach this goal, to promote European films, European talent, and of course European spirit, because this is what we want to do. We want to promote this outside of Europe. We started doing different programs to do that on different international festivals and markets all over the world. What is very important to know is also that all our activities aim at outside of Europe. So if we do an event like Producers on the Move in Cannes, yes, it is taking place inside Europe, but the reason for doing it is actually to make the European producers known internationally. Same as for promoting upcoming great actors in Berlin. It is all for the sake of promoting them outside the European borders, of giving them a kind of launchpad to start working internationally. And so we have programs which concentrate on pure film promotion, for example, like the Sydney program Tamara mentioned. It's called Voices of Women in Film, always with Europe exclamation mark. And my colleague Andreas, who is here, he's running the program currently. The Sydney Film Festival is just running digitally now until Sunday, I think, Saturday or Sunday. And for this, every year, 10 films from really great, inspiring women directors are selected, very very current films, new films. And for all our programs, the way how we select the films is that each National Film Institute can bring one film. So let's say the French can bring one film, the Danish can bring one film, so each country can nominate one film. And then we work together with the respective festival or market so that the respective festival makes the selection. When we have then 30 films on the table, we find it makes sense that not we make the selection, because we don't know what people in Sydney are watching or what buyers in South America want to buy. I mean, in the meantime, we know, but a little bit, but about it. But basically, we trust then the curation of the festival to make a selection of 10 out of all the films we receive. So we have this the Women Directors program in the Women Films program in Sydney. We have a documentary program for at Hot Dogs Film Festival in Toronto. This year, all digitally. We have been trying out a lot. Hello.
Yes.
And then we go to Busan, to Asia, to Korea. every year also with a delegation of European filmmakers promoting their films in the festival. And of course, everywhere where we go, we will promote the films, but we will also connect the filmmakers to distributors in the country attending the festival. We will make industry program for them, networking programs. We will arrange interviews for them, and it's a kind of, for the films, it is a screening series, it is a promotion program, and it is a networking program. And this we are doing for all the film programs we have. And then we have, oh, sorry, Tamara, please.
No, finish, and I just have a question. Yeah.
I would come to the talent programs then.
Yeah.
So, okay, so
go ahead.
So for the talent programs, it works a little bit the same. We have 3 talent programs, Producers on the Move in Cannes, where we select the best upcoming, potentially international co-producers from all European countries, present them, promote them, and matchmake them with each other, and also with sales, distributors, other experts. And then we have shooting stars at the Berlinale, where we have the upcoming actors from all over Europe, which receive a grade. In the beginning, I thought, when I came to EFP, I thought, oh, this actors program, I don't know if this is so, yeah. I mean, it's not so much industry like I was used to do industry with the co-production markets and the World Cinema Fund. And okay, so let's see how it goes. And then I see that we have every year 70 casting directors from all over the world are coming to Berlinale just to meet the 10 selected shooting stars in individual meetings, which is great, of course, for them. And it has a great, it has great results. 8 or 9 each year of the 10 presented shooting stars are working in international productions the year after already. So it's that really works. And we will do now, we will start in 2 weeks with this, a program for student filmmakers, which is our next generation program. It's called Future Frames. And it is happening usually at Carlo Vivari. It's kind of the short film section of Carlo Vivari Film Festival. And this year we have also, of course, to do it as a plan B.
Right. And as you've been talking now, I recalled a moment in the organizational life of the EFP, let's say, which in my views could be interesting for our attendees. I had the pleasure of being a Georgian delegate to EFP for 9 years. And I remember, if I'm not wrong, it was year 2015, right? When you joined, 16, when you joined as a co-director in the beginning with Renata, and then you took the full lead. And I remember you in this position coming in and asking, it's fabulous and it's been great what EFP's been doing from 1997 to today. But if we look at where we stand now, you said back then in that year, are we sure if we have like a clear mission, if it's contemporary enough, if we are really responding to the needs out there, and how do we position ourselves? Because there's a lot that has changed, and maybe EFP mission has to be rediscovered as well, or polished. And you've been very outspoken about that, I recall. And I found there's been an interesting process going on within the organization to really polish the vision. And I would want you to talk a little bit about it, because I think that was the moment when you also achieved the change, when you led it to a certain extent, fueled, of course, with the support of the membership. And I'm wondering if that was the moment when you decided to position strongly as an organization exporting European talent, let's say outside Europe, because now you're making a very clear pitch in that direction.
Yes, I still want to mention 2 things, because we have also a very kind of service-oriented part which is that we organize umbrella booths for European sales agents at international markets like Hong Kong, American Film Market, in Toronto, in Busan. So in order to help the sales agents, making it affordable for the sales agent being present there and sell the European films. And we also have a kind of support scheme, which is called Film Sales Support. It's a small support, but sales agents can ask for up to 4,000 euro for a campaign, for a promotion campaign of a European film at an international recognized festival or market. And so yes, I mean, in the beginning when I came to EFP, it was exactly like you said. I said, wow, this is a huge, I was in the industry already many years, and I know also my now colleague Andreas, I know you, I knew Renate, so I knew some people, but I knew only about 3 programs of EFP. And so when I then saw the full portfolio, I thought, wow, this is really big. And then, yeah, most of the programs didn't change in a long time, and which I find relatively okay, because when things are running well, never change a running system. You know, why should you? But of course, I was questioning things, because I thought, when I don't really understand why this is happening, and the reason is only because we have done that in all the years, it's maybe not enough. So I tried very careful to ask questions, and then was it already in the, yeah, it was actually, I took over in, the good thing was I was co-directing with Renate, with my predecessor, who built all this up, and she gave me the opportunity to jump into all the programs, and she was taking the full administration on her back. So that for half a year, or actually 8 months, I could really get to know the colleagues, the programs, all the member institutions. It was good that I knew already some of them from my former job, but it was suddenly a very different position. And but then, of course, I needed to refocus, because I thought we are doing too many things. I cannot explain EFP in 5 minutes. This is wrong for me. I must be able to explain my work in 5 minutes. And then I saw that we didn't have really a kind of focus. We were not saying we are B2B. Now we say our work is B2B. We only do programs which are B2B, or mainly. If they have a B2C effect, that's fine. But the reason for us doing a program should be B2B. It should be to help the films being sold outside of Europe, or it should help connecting the European filmmakers to filmmakers from outside of Europe. So for me, it was very important that we start pronouncing better that we are a good kind of information hub. So if you need something to know about a festival in Latin America, you call us, you call me, and you say, Sonja, have you ever heard about Belo Horizonte Film Festival? And maybe I haven't heard about Belo Horizonte Film Festival, but our whole network of all 37 member countries, I send out one email and I get all the experience about Belo Horizonte Film Festival. And this is fantastic. I understood how great this network, we can use the network. But then
and when you say you call us, you don't refer to only organizations, right? It can be like a filmmaker, a producer who could get
yes.
knowledge from you.
Yeah. Yes, of course. But you know what also happens, for example, is that people call and say, "Can you please sell my film?" Okay, then because we are called European Film Promotion. Anyway, I think we have to change the name in some time. I find it very, very boring, but I like much more our claim. It sounds a little bit like a Russian state theater, I find, European Film Promotion. But okay, we can live with it. and many people know EFP as an abbreviation, so that's fine. But then I was unexpectedly and very unluckily at the beginning helped by the Creative Europe Media Program, because they cut our budget by 25%, nearly 30%. When I took over. So I took over, Renate left in April. In May, we got the answer from Creative Europe, and the info was you have 300,000 euro less. It was exactly 272,500. So that was for me a total nightmare. I just took over this organization, which I thought needs really a little speed, and then everything was perfectly fine installed. But now there comes the next phase. You know, when you now have so many member countries, you have a big potential, but then you need to ask yourself again, why? What is it for? Do we still have the same goals as before? Why did everybody become member of EFP? And are you still part of EFP for the same reason? Which of our programs do you like? Which 3 of our programs you would never want to stop? And which are you really, are you only half interested in? So, and then this cut from Creative Europe was, of course, a big bang for me. I was, for 2 days, I was totally desperate. But yeah, as I refused to be in a bad mood, I thought we have to come to terms somehow. I was really lucky to have a team which with people who have been all there since many years, and who were, of course, in the beginning a little bit curious to see what this new woman is now going to do. But I had the feeling that I'm a very much sharing person, so I don't have anything to hide, and I had the feeling it helped. But then we had, in very short time, we had to come up with plan B, because we had also, we were, by that time, we were 10 people working in the office, plus some freelancers. So, and it was difficult. We couldn't, with this, with nearly 30% less budget, we couldn't keep the organization running like that. Mm-hmm. And that forced me to make difficult decisions, also to let people go. I mean, not totally go, but go for a while and then come back maybe, or and so on. But to really restructure the whole organization. And now we are working with a permanent staff of 7, and then we have like 2, I would say, regular freelancers working with us, and then 1 person coming from time to time, so when we need somebody more. And so now, and then we started, I asked all the member organizations, let's do a think tank. Let's ask ourselves all these questions. And that was then half a year after I took over from Renate, that we did this think tank in Prague. The Czech Film Center, who is member, they invited us there, so that was really good to go there and to be able for 2 days to be out of the office and just discussing with everybody. Okay, what do you want? What do we want? Why do we do things, and so on? And that really helped to go into a new direction. And then we had like 15 of the 37 were in this think tank, and we made them all our, let's say, they became the ambassadors for the new plan, and they helped us really to explain to the others the reasons behind and so on. And then we could really start to change the organization.
Yeah, and I remember that, and I recall this was been a process that is very interesting in preparation of this partnership as well. And I look at my screen now towards the direction of Andreas. This importance of the process flow came up many times in different contexts, and I think also the organization has its way to take and the direction to first identify and then kind of set on a journey. And as you've been speaking now, I was recalling all those experiences, and then I thought it's not only by the up to 30% budgetary cut that you had to face in the beginning of leadership of the EFP, but you've been also quite lucky in 2020 to face the global pandemic. This chat, this conversation format was born very soon after March 13, when we all realized that we've been in different kinds of lockdown and it would take a while to again reunite with people. And that's why we introduced this talk also, to learn and to stay for an hour together. And I'm wondering, how was it for you when the whole thing broke out back in spring? And what were, like, let's say, the key actions that you had to take? I recall in one of our private conversations, you said it was not as tough for you and you saw a lot of opportunities. So could you maybe share a bit?
Yeah, so let's say, when in the beginning, as with everybody coming back from Berlinale and then hearing, okay, now this virus is also in Italy, we had, we were already thinking a little bit about our programs in Asia, for example. Yeah, so because we knew, okay, Hong Kong Film Mart is coming up in March. We had we had all the demonstrations in Hong Kong, so therefore the program was already in danger, because the question was, will all the sales agents feel safe enough to go to Hong Kong because of the protests? And so we were not, we didn't, we told the Hong Kong people, listen, we cannot pay for the booth yet because we are really not sure if it is going to happen, and can you give us a later deadline? So we were playing on time for that, luckily. And so then after Berlinale, okay, then it was clear, now nobody is going to travel anymore, and all that, what we know. And then it was a little bit like after the media cut, you know, so for a day or two, I was thinking, okay, so that was it. I mean, our job is to promote at international film festivals and markets outside of Europe. No festivals taking place, no market is taking place, traveling outside Europe, no possibility. That was it. So let's see what is on our account. Aha, there's a little bit of money left, so we can go for that 2 or 3 months. And then we have to, we cannot work anymore. Okay, so then you come to your terms, the desperation moment is over, you cry a little bit and in your pillow, and then next day is a new day, and no, come on. It is, no, this is not, I'm not going to accept it just without fighting. And we had a very specific situation, because at the week after, on the 17th and 18th of March, we had planned a marketing workshop, because what we all know in EFP is that we are all very good networking people, we are very good facilitating people, we have good contacts and all of that, but nobody from us has a really concrete marketing background. Even if in the meantime, we have learned, particularly in the past 2 years, a lot about promotion, and have really intensified the promotion part of our work, extremely, also online promotion, and already before Corona. But we had the feeling we need a kind of marketing workshop for the whole team, so that we get more skills and we learn more and so on. And then it was suddenly becoming clear we cannot do that workshop, because the person giving the workshop, she couldn't come to Hamburg, she couldn't travel. And then we tried to make a kind of hybrid format, so that we can be in Hamburg and the person can do it from home. We were organizing a beamer and a room and all of that. And then 2 days later, it turned out, okay, we have no kindergarten anymore, no schools anymore. Everybody shall stay at home, and no workshop for us. So we used the opportunity of this planned workshop to restructure the workshop a little bit on what we planned, and we made a kind of emergency workshop out of that. And that was for us a very good moment, because we had this coaching person who was planning to be there for the workshop, and she could guide our thoughts somewhere. We couldn't do it then for the whole team, because then when you do it then on Zoom, you cannot do this group work like we were planning it. So we did it with 5 people only from the team. And but that brought us really, made us very clear that the potential we have in the meantime of being able to do online promotion can maybe bring us somewhere. And also, for example, since last year, since May, we have a new board of directors, and we have split it also a little bit to make the work with all the 37 countries, to make it more handy. We have said every board member has a group of 5 people, and you can go to these 5 people just to briefly check something, because otherwise I call 37 countries. It takes me a week just to speak to everybody. And and then I get the details from everybody, every small detail. And then I have to put it all in one pudding, and have to look for a solution. So now we have 7 people, the board of directors, looking for solutions, and now these 7 work together. But for me, it was very important that we find a way to do board meetings, not only in Berlin, in Cannes, in Toronto, and in Hamburg 4 times a year. When you want to be really active, is not enough 4 times to discuss. You need a drink first, always, just to ease up somehow. And then we started already in August working with Zoom, for example, having regular board exchange meetings and so on. So we were with this full digital, let's say, equipment. We didn't have to get used to it. We were doing that already.
Yeah.
And so then also the first decision was to make producers on the move to do it digitally.
Yes,
And
I remember you converted digital.
yes,
You went to full conversion of producers on the
yes,
move.
and
And
it was easy.
did you feel it worked out?
Yeah, totally. I must say that my experience in the meantime is with Zoom. I still love it, yeah, because I can still be connected to people. I know many people really hate it in the meantime, but me not. But the program we do for the producers is what is regularly happening at a co-production market. Yep, they pitch their projects to each other, they introduce themselves to each other, they do meetings with each other, they do meetings with sales agents, they do meetings with other people, you have a panel and so on. I didn't see a problem to do it digitally. But then, of course, we had to convince all the member institutes that we can do it digitally, because they are always paying part of the cost. Media is paying part of the cost, and the members are paying part of the cost. So we need to convince everybody, to convince Creative Europe, media, that it is good to do it this way, and convince the member institutes to do it that way. And then when you have arrived there and everybody agrees, then you have to ask, you have only the chance to ask the participants, would you at all want to participate in a digital version of the program? And we had 3 producers who didn't want to do it. Because they because of private issues, because of not being able to have 3 hours in a row with kids at home, with 3 kids at home, and a husband working at the police or things like that. Yeah, and or also for one guy, same way, a wife working in the hospital, and so there were some problems, and one person also saying, my feeling is that after Corona, my company is no longer existing. I don't feel like a producer on the move.
Okay.
So we were experiencing these things, but every year we have 3 or 4 producers, which we would love to have more than we can take. So it was no problem to replace.
I see.
And of course, we adapted the format. We made the sessions shorter, with more breaks, with making like lunch breaks in a way that you can cook for kids in the meantime, at least pasta with a ready tomato sauce, or something. And so the program took 1 day longer altogether, because we split it time more. And in the end, where there was everybody was really surprised, because people were really connecting well, and you could see it already on the second day. I was also very surprised, because usually when you don't know each other, then really concretely starting working together, there might be issues. Some people are more outspoken than others, and all of
Yes.
that. And of course we had more quiet people than others, but then others made a nice question for this person, and it was really fantastic. And
It's a very, very peculiar, now that it already is somewhat 3 months ago. We also had to do it in different functions. Like we have Nikitin here, I think, on screen, with whom I've experienced very early in April this full conversion with SOFA workshop.
yeah, and we were incorporating your comments, actually.
Yes, and it's been, if you could allow yourself to be flexible, and I think also to be spontaneous, not to fall apart if things would not be working out immediately, it proved to be possible. And I think that also on Monday and Tuesday, when we did these events with you for the program of women for Sydney Film Festival, there as well, we had people on screen that didn't necessarily knew each other before, or never, not everyone watched the films. You would not be expecting that there's a complete equal knowledge about the content or the connection. But I think if you have a flow, if you are open, it's possible to do it. Of course, comparison to offline is not possible, but it works as a model. And when you are speaking now so concretely about the actions you took, in my mind, not right now, but in my mind, I'm very interested to see what will be in coming months the vision of EFP towards the future tools of promotion. I think that could be something very, very interesting, because you as an organization are requiring a lot of knowledge and action that could give thoughts, food for thought for the next, for the new normals, as they like to call right now.
Yeah, it's a very interesting time, I find, because I think that this Corona has just speeded up the whole development of the industry, which was going to take place anyway somehow. Yeah, with all the problems we had about who is still going to the cinema, what is about streaming, and it can always be us, the art house spectators, who hold the flag and all of that. But I think Corona just brought the problems, any problems, private problems, professional problems, all the problems really to a crisis or to a sharp point. And then you have, for what was good for us is that in the moment when we decided on what do we do in this crisis, we said, okay, what is really important, what we could do is we could organize meetings for our member organizations every week and invite their people from the industry. So we do a crisis committee meeting. We called it like with this not so good name, but we never changed it. But we have one crisis committee meeting every Friday morning at 10 o'clock. And for example, for the first meeting, we invited Jérôme Payard from Cannes. At the moment when we still didn't know if is the festival taking place, is a virtual marché coming, and all of that. Okay. And then, for example, when it continued, then we worked even with some of our member organizations, with 7 of them. We worked in a working group to helping them in Cannes to understand better what institutions might need, because with sales agents they can do it with Europa International or with other institutions. But and the good thing for us is that when we do these meetings, every time we learn more. Yeah, every single time we learn more. For example, next week we will meet Toronto, because for us it's extremely important what is happening in Toronto. We have usually a Europe umbrella there. Sales agents are coming there, institutions are coming there too, but the sales agents are very important. do they have a space to go? Because sales agents want to travel. They are really waiting. But are the buyers buying?
Yeah, that's the
and that's the question. So we have on July 3, for example, we have a wrapping up of Cannes with the sales agents. Before we have one with our member organizations, so that we share that they share their experiences. Then we share with the sales agents, and a week later we have a talk with Asian distributors to see how do you see the situation at the moment. Can you still buy films, and would you at all buy international films in that crazy world, and why, and can you release them, and when can you release them? And a week later we do it with Latin American
very
distributors.
interesting.
So
Really
that I'm really looking forward to it, but that was really for me a very good. Therefore I said for us the situation, it doesn't feel so tough, because we have so much added value at the moment, because we learn so many things, not only to see how you can make something digital. This is a normal, I would say, organization work with some skills you need and so on, but also learning how, who, when, where, and also all the people are accessible. Yeah, people really are accessible. You can ask someone, hey, can you join us on Friday at 10? And they will say, yeah, why not? And that's, of course, great. And it's good to have this exchange. So I think
this exchange is very great. It really, I think, one of the positive values that this brought. And having you with us is also very good in that context, because more you talk, more convinced I get that for us it would be very interesting to connect to you again and see your vision on a later stage, when we all in different functions on different levels, institutional or non-institutional, will start to do a little bit of an early stage assessment of all the actions that we've been taking now.
Yes, I think we need one, let's say, I would say in 4, 5 weeks, maybe 6 weeks, by the end of July, I think. By then we can see a little bit how it goes. We see what happened in Cannes. Was this Cannes label helpful or not? For what was it helpful? Are sales agents selling? Are buyers buying? What about the filmmakers? Yeah, how do they deal with it?
And what about filmmakers is the question that is particularly interesting for the network. We have professionals joining who are on different level of their career, put it that way. It's especially interesting for the newcomers, because for them it's whole new world, and how you access it, and where do you start, and how you approach people, or look into the promotion, or getting to know who are the sales agents who could be potentially interested in your films is crucial. And it's a tiny little bit of the questions that builds up like bigger issues that we will all need to cater for. So before I go into my next question, it's we still have like 10-15 minutes remaining, and as always, those of you, the participants of the talk, that have questions or would like to share a comment, maybe as usual, please use the chat, and I'll try to I'll moderate it depending on how much of you will have a concrete question. So don't hesitate. As you can see, Sonja is very open to give replies on all sorts of activities that they do. But before this happens, Sonja, I wanted to have a drop back a little bit towards a very important period I would feel in your career, being head of Berlinale Co-Pro market, and also for World Cinema Fund. And for me, somehow this also stands together. You've been painting and leading that for 12 years, if I'm not wrong. And of course, a lot has happened in your hands, as they say. And I remember as well that you had a particular interest in focusing on the developing countries that used to be called back then. Now the term is a little bit like a low capacity production countries and so on. So could you tell us a little bit more about that function and how you look back to it today?
So yeah, I started in Berlinale in 2003. And I started with the co-production market. So I knew Dieter Koslik from before. I was actually vitamin B, how we say in Germany, because I used to be his assistant a few years before for a long time. And when he then went to Berlin, he tried to convince me to come with him, but then I wanted to become a producer. But after 3.5 years, he got me he got me there. And yeah, I started with the co-production market in a time where I think in that time, Cinemat was, of course, the mother of all co-production markets, and we were then becoming somehow the next one. And there was a lot of hesitation from people saying, but there is Cinemat already. Why do you have another co-production market a month later, and so on? So it was not actually. I thought the Berlinale is missing something for producers, something to really exchange concretely, because of course everybody coming to Berlinale has a project somehow. So why not bringing these people? Why not throwing them all into one place and moderate it somehow and see who has the same ideas, and let's try to bring people together. And yeah, the first year was not so easy. Creative Europe didn't support us, so we had to see how we go. But it was a very interesting edition, because it was, of course, slightly chaotic, because there were 100 people more than we expected, but you saw that this has really potential, and it was very clear also that Creative Europe will like what they see there, and I hope that we can count on their support then for later. And but of course, with being part of the Berlinale is a really good thing. Yeah, working at Berlinale was maybe what can I say? It was maybe best time of the life or so, because everybody, right, Nikki? I mean, it is a very respected festival. I have also very often the feeling like it is not such a wow festival like Cannes, but it is much more respected somehow, and with reason. But and doing the co-production market for the Berlinale was really great, because you have so much potential in the festival, in the different sections. There is such a great team of people working at the Berlinale, and so okay, we were 3 people in the beginning for a few months, and but then it started to work out, and we were able to really consolidate that, and and we saw that there's a big interest of producers to come there, also because we wanted to, of course, to be different than Rotterdam, because Rotterdam had all these beautiful, super nice projects, which I personally like a lot, I must say. But we said, okay, we are the co-production market of Berlinale. We need also some projects which have at least a kind of mainstream art house profile, yeah, like Ruben Östlund's films or things like this, yeah. And so I think that was also a reason why some people really liked to go there, because it was clear the project had already financing in place. We asked the producers. Emilia is a regular at the co-production market, and we asked the producers also with the selected projects, what do you need, where do you need to go, and we worked very organized in order to make the best meetings happening for them, not just any meetings, or not as many as possible. So people would have about 30 meetings, but these 30 meetings would mean something. And they wouldn't have 90 meetings because 90 people asked to meet them, but half of them you don't need to do something with it. And it was really great to see how we could have more and more partners, also all the national funds. They wanted to introduce their new things at the co-production market. So it was a great time. And then in my first year, I was also line producing the Berlinale Talents, which was back then Berlinale Talent Campus. And because the co-production market was a job for half a year, I couldn't make a living from it. So I needed kind of 2 jobs. It was a bit bad that they happened at the same time, but okay, what can you do? And but then the idea of the World Cinema Fund was born by my former colleague Vincenzo Bugno and Dieter Koslik. Vincenzo is still running the World Cinema Fund now, and they were trying to have funds to be able to found this fund, the World Cinema Fund. The World Cinema Fund is a fund for filmmakers from developing countries. Yeah, I say it now also like that, and but which makes sure you need to work with a German, or in the meantime is also possible with another European co-production partner, but the money of the World Cinema Fund has to be spent in the country of origin, and that makes even a funding of 50,000 euro, if you spend it in Venezuela or in Kazakhstan, it makes, of course, 50,000 much more than if you pay with it the German line producer or so. Mm-hmm. And that was really great to work with this fund, which we received so great projects to read. When you read then these Apishat Pong Virasita Kul scripts, I will never forget with his film Uncle Bonmi, which won in Cannes, that my colleague Vincenzo, he read the project first because he always loved that filmmakers, and he came on the next morning, put the script, by then it was not digital, put the script on my table and said, Sonja, this is the Golden Palm in next year. And it was exactly that way. Yeah. So, and it was so great to have on one side the profile of the projects of the co-production market, which were, I would say, budget levels like between 1 and 5 million, maybe 6, 7, 8 would also be okay, but not so often that we have these budgets in Europe. And then on the other hand, having these 1 million was the absolute maximum level for World Cinema Fund projects. So it was such a great wealth of projects and filmmakers you could meet. I was traveling everywhere, so it was really fantastic.
That sounds, I think we could do another talk on your knowledge base related to that part. But now we have 2 questions coming up, so I would rather go that direction. And the first one is, so according to you, Sonja, what are the most interesting events for screenwriters in Europe and internationally? If you have a recommendation.
Oh, I don't know. I don't, for screenwriters, I'm not, okay, who asked the question? For who can I find that out? Okay, yes. So, good, I find that out for you.
Excellent. Agnieszka Kruk happens to be also on the planet of software training.
Okay, so I get your email from Nikki.
Yeah, she can be linked easily.
Okay, good.
So that's a future connection.
Yeah, I need maybe until the end of the week, tomorrow, maybe even until Monday.
No rush.
I mean, there are good programs. Yeah. There are very good programs. What is great is, of course, Sundance Lab. Yeah, that is, but I mean, it's super competitive. But Sundance is now also have Monica also wants to know this. Okay.
Maybe you could send us some. We can find a way of exchanging this between the two, and then we can circulate this information to make it easy for you.
Yes,
I think that makes
yes, of course.
I'll go to the next question, which is probably something that not only Marisa but also others are interested, and that is related to producers on the move and the selection. So, what's the process? The question is if it's a country who is doing a press selection. If yes, then which organization, and if that's EFP, what's the criteria? But I think you should quickly explain how it works.
So it is the case is that that every country can nominate one producer, and there are different ways how countries are doing it. Many countries are making an official call. Yeah, saying like, hey, who wants to be a producer on the move? They can let us know, and they do interviews, or they collect the filmographies and all the things, because we do have a kind of a point system. It's very complicated and it reads really lousy, because it has, of course, to incorporate all the different things from all Europe, from all over Europe. So you get extra points when your film receives a prize of the country, but then other countries don't have an official award. Then it is also okay when you have this and this. And so we have to reflect many, many things. And that builds this point catalog. And then the member organizations, they would usually, let's say, have like already maybe 2-3 candidates in their mind, and then ask them to, some are consulting with the funds, for example. They say, who do you think is the producer on the move this year? Who has a good project for being co-produced at the moment? Because these coincidences also work. And then they will ask the producer to fill out this point catalog, and then they would submit, probably when they have 2 or 3 in their mind, they would submit, of course, the one who has the most, who comes to the most points. And then we in the office, we will check if the producer and the National Film Institute had the same way of adding the points as we interpret the results, because sometimes the producer thinks he has 90 points, but we come only to 60. Then we have some discussions, but it is usually relatively clear how to do it. And yes, the institutes, they are nominating. So saying, I was asked that once on a panel in Cannes, when the head of the National Film Institute doesn't like your nose, yes, then probably you don't have a chance. But as we have now made the whole procedure much more transparent, we can also be contacted. So you could also contact us, and then I would go to the National Film Institute and say, hey, how comes that this producer comes to us? And at least the person would have to justify. But it never happened, yeah. But it never happened. But
it's excellent that you're saying it, because I recall the conversation about this topic, and because I had an angle also with the European film promotion, and I really honestly believe that a lot of the activities are very meaningful and contribute somehow towards a good results. It's quite important that the producers are aware of your existence as an independent organization and could have a chance to be in touch with you as well, so that you also don't miss out on names or on the titles that are out there and might not necessarily land on your tables through the membership, for various reasons.
That was important for us.
Yeah.
Because
so
otherwise it feels a little bit fishy sometimes, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And there's again a question about script writing is very high on agenda, so we'll sort this out.
Yeah, we actually don't have a program for script writers, and
you should look into it after this.
Yeah. Yes, for sure. But I think I know some reasons for it, but because it's film promotion. But still, I mean,
yeah.
Provided
we are all looking into the gradual changes, one never knows what comes out of this. I would like to go towards wrapping. So if anyone has a question, please post it. And if not, I'll have the final one. And that is, Sonja, briefly to come back and ground towards the EWA network and the importance of the gender equality agenda as such. I'm wondering if you in the EFP, when calling for different programs, when managing, if you take that into account and if you advise your membership about proactive outreach and scouting for content produced or directed by women, or also within this layer of the young talent activities that you do, and if that's something that you positively discriminate towards or not.
So let's say for most of the programs, because for most of the programs it is about the films, but for the programs where it is about the talent, of course, we keep that, and the EFP always did this. And for producers on the move and for shooting stars, it was always a balance. Yeah, there was maybe 51% to 49 or so, but there was always a good balance. And basically by coincidence, yeah, it was not, maybe because many producers are also women, maybe it was just not so much needed. Also many actors are women, so but also for shooting stars, for example, a jury is deciding, and a jury would normally always consider that. But we once had a problem with Future Frames, with our young director program in Carlo Vivari, because then Carlo Vivari, we had, I think, 41 submissions, because some were not sure from our territories, can we maybe submit 2, because we don't know in between. Okay, Carlo Vivari was accepting that, watching all the films. And then they selected 8 men and 2 women. And I was totally shocked because it was, I mean, then first you check the names again, and you think, maybe it's like Nino from Georgia, yeah, it's a women's name, yeah, so okay, but no, we come only to 2 women. And then I thought, okay, this is too much. We cannot do a program in Sydney about women filmmakers and then end up with 2 directors and women directors in Carlo Vivari. Not possible. And then I called the programmers in Carlo Vivari, and they said that they were really trying to compromise for that, but and they discussed again, but they said, sorry, but we decide for the films, and we won't go away from deciding from the films. We don't go for another step, like it is the program which is our short film part of the festival, so they didn't want to compromise. Okay, so we had to swallow this pill, but then we made a plan for the year after, and that is that now everybody can submit 1 or 2 persons, but or 1 or 2 films, but at least one has to be directed by a woman. So that means every country has to nominate a woman or a woman and a man, a woman and a man. Yeah, so, and that helped actually with the procedure. And but still you could see in that for the graduates, it's still like, if we are lucky, it's then it was 7-3. This year it's 6-4. Yeah, we are slowly coming there, but we are watching that for sure. Yeah.
Good to know.
That's yeah, no, I'm just wondering, this week I've been part of many different discussions, and if you put it together as a puzzle, you really understand that so many institutions, like heads, the ones that are decision makers, should take an action to fight, to make things going, and it's happening. I wouldn't be pessimistic. It's happening, but it's a very laborious process, and it really needs to take into account a lot of specificities across the value chain in the film. On this note, Sonja, I will set you free, because it's also time for your family and the beautiful kids, and you have to go into your mother function, I suppose. It's been a real pleasure having you. This whole week was somehow marked with EFP partnership for us. Our members will be allowed to watch for the content that we generated together. I would also like to give big thanks to Andreas, as he is here with us. This partnership's been a pleasure, and we will be very, very happy continuing with you. And whenever you are ready and free to give a couple of links and tips on the script writing questions that were posed, we will be very happy to.
Keeps my brain
we
fresh.
can be the go-between, so that you don't have to be in touch with everyone. This is why we are here, and we will stream this information to all of our members. I think that's the most efficient way to deal with it. Thank you very much, everyone, and
Thank
have
you,
a good
all of you, for your patience and for letting me explain so many things. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sonja. Everybody is writing their acknowledgement for this interesting conversation and insight on how European film promotion works, and the programs that perhaps most of us didn't No, in its entirety.
And there were
For the
lots of exclamations on the zooming. Yeah, so.
yes, indeed.
And
And
as
for the
you know now,
members, keep
Sonja
posted.
likes to be on Zoom, so you have all the positivity here generated for yourself.
Indeed. And next week we'll be having a talk on virtual reality. So
Great.
keep
Very good.
posted.
My family is back, so.
Okay.
Okay.
Have a nice
Stay
evening.
safe.
Thank you very
Have a
much.
nice weekend.
Bye.
End of the
Bye-bye.
week. Ciao, ciao.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ciao. Thank you. Bye.